சித்தார்த் என்ற சிறுவனின் வளர்ந்து கொண்டிருக்கும் இசைக்கலைஞரின் இறை வணக்கத்துடன் ஆரம்பிக்கிறோம். சித்தார்த் அவர்கள் திருவனந்தபுரம் சீதாலட்சுமி அவர்களின் சிஷ்யர். பல பாடல் போட்டிகள் எல்லாம் கலந்து கொண்டு பரிசுகள் பெற்றிருக்கிறார். அவர் நம்முடைய இன்று இறை வணக்கம் பாட வருவது நமக்கும் அவருக்கும் ஒரு நல்ல வாய்ப்பு.
விஷாலாக்ஷீம் விஸ்வேஷீம் விஷாலாக்ஷீம் விஸ்வேஷீம் விஷாலாக்ஷீம் விஸ்வேஷீம் விஷாலாக்ஷீம் விஸ்வேஷீம் भजरे रे मानस सदा विशालाक्षीं विश्वेशीं भजरे रे मानस सदा विशालाक्षीं विश्वेशीं भजरे रे मानस सदा विशालाक्षीं विश्वेशीं भजरे रे मानस सदा विशालाक्षीं भजरे काशीराज्ञीं कपालिनीं काशीराज्ञीं कपालिनीं काशीराज्ञीं कपालिनीं विनोदजालिनीं वारिणीं काशीराज्ञीं कपालिनीं विनोदजालिनीं वारिणीं पाशमोज्जनीं प्रसिद्धिनीं ईशानीं गुरुगुजननीं पाशमोज्जनीं प्रसिद्धिनीं ईशानीं गुरुगुजननीं तय्यतकिडनि दपमतिमिदगप दनि दपमतय्यतकिडनि दपमतिमिदगप सनि दपमतय्यतकिडनि दपमतिमिदग निजजं तरित दिङ्गिण तं तगतय्यतकिडनि दपमतिमिदग निजजं तरित दिङ्गिण तं तगतिमिदगिड कमपमपदत जनु धनि जनि निजगु तददिङ्गिण तं तिमिदगिड कमपमपदत जनु निज निरिजगु तददिङ्गिण तं विशालाक्षी विश्वेशीं भजरे रे मानस सदा विशालाक्षीं भजरे.
இந்த அவையினருக்கு டாக்டர் நாகசாமியை பற்றிய எந்தவித அறிமுகமும் எந்த விதத்திலும் தேவையில்லைதான். இருந்தாலும் சம்பிரதாயமாக ஓரிரு வார்த்தைகளை சொல்லி இந்த அவையை தொடங்குகிறோம். வந்திருக்கும் இந்த அவையினருக்கு தமிழ் ஆர்ட்ஸ் அகாடமியின் சார்பிலும் ஆர்கே கன்வென்ஷன் சென்டர் ஆர்கே மகாநாட்டு கூடத்தின் சார்பிலும் எல்லோருக்கும் நல்வரவு. பாரதியார் வாழ்ந்து கொண்டிருந்த காலத்தில் சோமசுந்தர பாரதியார் அவரை பற்றி ஒரு கட்டுரை எழுதினார். தி கிரேட்டஸ்ட் போயட் லிவிங் என்று ஒரு ஆங்கில பத்திரிகையில் எழுதினார். அது சற்று மாற்றமில்லாமல் தி கிரேட்டஸ்ட் ஸ்காலர் லிவிங் என்ற அடைமொழி டாக்டர் நாகசாமி அவர்களுக்கு முற்றிலும் பொருந்தும். டாக்டர் நாகசாமி அவர்கள் தமிழ், சம்ஸ்கிருதம், வளர்கலைகள், தொல்லியல், நளினமான கலைகள், எபிகிராஃபி, கல்வெட்டு, இந்த மாதிரி துறைகள் எல்லாவற்றிலும் இவை தொடர்புடைய மற்ற கலைகள் எல்லாவற்றிலும் மிகச்சிறந்த நிபுணர் என்பது நமக்கு எல்லோருக்கும் தெரிந்தது. இந்த நினைவுடனும் இந்த நினைவை போற்றுதலுடனும் அவரை பேச அழைக்கிறோம். அவருடைய பேச்சிலிருந்து பயன் கொள்வது மட்டுமே நம்முடைய இன்றைய நோக்கமாக அமையும். அவரை இங்கு பேசுமாறு அழைக்கிறேன்.
அனைவருக்கும் என்னுடைய வணக்கங்கள். முதலில் இந்த அருமையான ஒரு ஹாலை இங்கே இருக்கிறது, இங்கே வந்து பேசுங்கள் என்று ஊக்குவித்த ஆர்கே ராமகிருஷ்ணன் அவர்களுக்கு என்னுடைய மனமார்ந்த உளமார்ந்த வணக்கத்தையும் நன்றியையும் முதலிலேயே தெரிவிக்க கடமைப்பட்டிருக்கின்றேன். I have fallen in love with this beautiful hall, and I hope we will have more and more talks. Thank you, sir. And this young boy, so beautifully, lovely song. And I wanted to thank him. My friend, Mr. Avai Natarajan has come, and great scholars, you are all here. So I feel a little diffident to speak about a very ticklish subject. One is a Sanskrit text and another is a Tamil text. And Sanskritists are not as much interested in Tamil, and Tamils are not as much interested in Sanskrit. And so I do not know how to present my ideas. But hopefully something might come out of this talk for further discussion and study. The main thrust of my talk this evening, particularly in the midst of so many scholars, is that there is a feeling that Natya Sastra is confined to Natya dances. Originally, of course, it was important for dramatists also. Natya also included Nataka. But now it is almost completely out of their purview in modern times. No Nataka theatre takes interest in Natya. And of course, others also are not very much interested in Natya Sastra, except our young girls who do dance. And we are thankful to them for at least keeping the interest alive in Natya Sastra. But what I am trying to say today is that Natya Sastra is not confined only to dance and music. It is a text for all people to understand the customs and manners and how to speak in the society, how the husband should address the wife in the presence of the children, and all this lifestyle, the entire lifestyle of the people, which was again at the very beginning, says that it goes beyond language barriers, it goes beyond any caste or class or religious division, and Natya Sastra is a text for all people. It goes beyond. So this is my main thrust. So this is the first text which is available that shows that beyond the Vedas, this is a new Veda. At the very beginning it says this is a new Veda, the fifth Veda, which is available for all sections of the society. So it is an extraordinary introduction in the Natya Sastra itself. And it goes, it is applicable to all of us. And unfortunately, it is not recognized that it has so much of valuable information about life and people, art and history, aesthetics, and for all aspects. For example, it says there is no Sastra, no Silpa, no other arts or information that is not found in this text. Nas Silpa, even for understanding Silpa, we require an understanding of Natya Sastra. So, it is absolutely essential that we look beyond only this young group of girls, Natya girls, trying to understand what is Natya. The Natya Sastra, which has about 36 chapters, has so much to say for the social life of the people, religious life of the people, and so on. So that is the main thrust of my talk today. But then it has lived. It has lived the main aim that it has stated, that it goes beyond language. All language group could benefit by that. So we have the earliest Tamil grammar in Tamil Nadu, which is an outstanding grammar, wonderful grammar, by Tolkappiyar, called Tolkappiyam. And it has 3 chapters as Ezhuthu, Sol and Porul. And actually, the main content of that whole text is in its Poruladhikaram. The Ezhuthu and Sol are supplements. You understand the Porul through Ezhuthu and Sol, whereas the Porul which is very important. And these two form the theoretical basis. But there is another text which is an extraordinary text, which is a wonderful text, and which is one of the earliest dramatic texts in India. Not even in Sanskrit, we don't have that type of a beautiful dance drama as Silappatikaram, which is a wonderful text. And that shows that all these that are given in Natya Sastra and also in Tolkappiyam are practically presented in the whole text of Silappatikaram. So the source for my talk today is Natya Sastra first, the second is Tolkappiyam, and the practical aspect, how it was used by the dramatists and other people from Silappatikaram. They form the main source of my talk. Now, the first 1 or 2 chapters of Natya Sastra and the last chapter, they deal with the mythical aspect of the origin of Natya Sastra. It's a very interesting information is provided, but we are not concerned with that. All the rest of the text, rest of the chapters, they are all highly technical. They give beautiful information, very valuable information that has come down to this day and still are in use. And without them, our art history, aesthetic history, music, dance, etc. doesn't exist. But it's important. For example, according to the legend, Brahma, I am not going into the details of the whole story. Brahma asked Bharata to prepare a text for performance, dance performance. And Bharata said, this is just to say everything is from Brahma. Brahma is the creator of Vedas, sound, and so on. So Narada, this Natya Sastra also comes from Brahma. So it says that this was composed by Brahma and handed over to Bharata. It's only to give a sanctity to the whole text. But when Bharata started composing, the first dance drama is Amurtha Matana. Then he wrote the text. But a careful study of the original text in Sanskrit shows there were already some texts before Bharata's Natya Sastra, which are called Natasutras. And there are also some bhashyas, which are found in the Natya Sastra itself. So some scholars wish that Natasutras were the basis on which Bharata wrote his text. Now, he had 100 sons, Bharata, so the whole art was taught to them, and they were ready to enact. And at that time, he wanted to show it to Shiva in the Himalayas, and he went and showed this to Shiva. And Shiva said, why not you also include the dance that I performed in the evening, Pradosha Samaye? And so I said, yes, I will do that. And Shiva asked Nandikeswara to teach this dance performed by Shiva to Bharata, and Bharata taught it to his sons. Now this consisted of Tandava, the vigorous dance, because Shiva performed the vigorous dance. And so it consisted of 3 styles, which they called Arabhati, Bharati, and Satvati. 3 styles. And out of these 3 styles came the vigorous dance, fights, etc., almost imitation of man's activities. But then Bharata said, this is not sufficient. We need the soft, beautiful, lasya type of dance, which will emphasize Sringara. The whole thing that was done by Shiva is all vigorous dance, but we want a soft dance and a lovely dance, and this cannot be done by men. So he said, you please create women, girls who can perform this dance. Only they can perform Sringara type of dance. And then they asked them to learn from Parvati, who danced along with Shiva, the Lasya dance. So at the very beginning, we have 2 divisions. One is the vigorous external dance, Tandava, and the other one is for performing solely Sringara. This division is very important because we are going to see that in Tamil we have a division called Aham and Puram. Aham is solely for Sringara, and Puram is for the other 3, which they call Dharma, Artha, and Moksha. So the division of Aham and Puram, Aham concentrating purely on Lasya type of dance, Sringara, and according to Tamil grammar, Aham means inbam. And it was also meant to be dance. So the division of Tamil poems into Aham and Puram are almost derived from what you have at the beginning of Bharata's Natya Sastra as Tandava and Lasya, or it is also sometimes called, the Lasya is called Sukumara type of dance. Now, that is the beginning of the dance, and as Shiva performed the dance, which are called the Karanas. They are called Nritta Karanas. Nritta Karanas. It's not just Karana. Karana means action. Nritta Karana means dance action. You leave one pose and move on to the other pose. So the whole movement is called Nritta Karana. And these are classified into 108 poses. Nritta Karanas are 108 in number, and they are defined in Bharata's Natya Sastra. They have a name, and we have a brilliant commentator on Bharata's Natya Sastra who hailed from Kashmir, and he lived 1,000 years ago, and his name is known as Abhinava Gupta. His is a wonderful commentary on Bharata's Natya Sastra. And there he raises the question, why 108? Is it not possible to have more? And there he answers, yes, it's possible to have more dance, because dance had no beginning and is not going to have any end. Anantyat, neither beginning or end. When it started, nobody knows. Then 108 is just for us to understand. Oh, he is dancing. This is sort of a lakshana, easy to understand what they are trying to portray. And so he raises many, many questions, Abhinav Gupta. So those of you who are interested in reading deep study or take to deep study of Bharata's Natya Sastra, you can have his commentary. And you will see how he says that some of the Acharyas, they say this is the position that you have to adopt for this Karana, but it is not practical, he says. And in another says, maybe you can interpret it that way and you can interpret it as I say also. So he is an absolutely objective commentator that we have in the history of Indian literature, who gives a beautiful analysis of this whole text, Bharata's Natya Sastra. Now I will show you some parallels, but before that, I must say that, as I said, we have gone beyond linguistic barriers. Language never separated us. So he says you can use 4 types of languages. Magadhi, Magadha country, our Lalu Prasad Yadav, his area, Magadhi, Ardha Magadhi, and so on. He gives 4. He says you can use these 4. But you can use also other regional languages. He is very particular that you can use even Mlecha Bhasha if needed. And if the organizer is willing to organize it, you can use any language, because after all it is to reach the audience. And so he also refers to Dramilas. Dramilas are included as Dakshinatyas, south of India to the Kanyakumari region. So all are brought under Dakshinatyas. So when we say that we have this great Tamil grammar, the earliest grammar, Tolkappiyar, we have a tradition. This tradition is by a medieval commentator, byDr.R.Nagaswamy, who says that in the Chilapadikaram introduction, he says, there were two texts earlier. One is called Agatyam and the other one is called Bharatam. And he says both of them irandu pattana. They have been lost. They were no more in use. And the only text that was fully available was Tolkappiyar. So your Ilango Adigal takes this Tolkappiyar as the base, and he weaves the whole story of Chilapadikaram into a beautiful drama. And if you can take, I am sorry I won't be able to go into the details of it, you can see from chapter 1 to the last of the chapter, in every chapter he introduces some aspect of the grammar, so that the totality of Tolkappiyar grammar is placed in its proper perspective. So we have this Chilapadikaram, which is based entirely on Tolkappiyar, which is indebted to Bharata's Natya Sastra, which I will be showing you. In Chilapadikaram has got 3 cantos. The first canto is called Puhar Kandam. The second one is called Madurai Kandam. And the third one is Vanji Kanda. Now, at the end of each Kanda, there is a Katturai. In that Katturai, the first Kanda, Katturai, there is a reference to that this whole canto, first canto, uses what is called Arabhati and Bharati Vritti. It is in the text itself. In the Katturai, I have made use of Arabhati and Bharati Vritti. Then in the second Madurai Kanda, he says Satvati Vritti. I have used Satvati Vritti. So unless we understand what is this Vritti, we can't understand what is the main thrust of the first Kanda or the second Kanda and also third Kanda. And then it goes on to say Pannum, Padalum, Pannum, Paniyum, Tukum, all this he says. The last one is a wonderful, wonderful commentary that is called Nool Katturai in this Chilapadikaram. The Nool Katturai gives you something extraordinary information. It starts with Vengadam to Kumari. This is the space where the whole drama is located, localized. And then he says, Ezhuthum Sollum Porulum. He uses Ezhuthu, Sol and Porul, which is the division of Tolkappiyar. Then Ezhuthu, Sol and Porul is not just sufficient. It may be a statement. Statement is of no use for drama. It has to be put into a beautiful song. So this is first put into what they call Seiyul. Seiyul means verse. And Seiyul cannot be adapted for drama, dance. It has to be put to rhythm, tala, and stops at every stage and so on. So this is done into that type of music, adapted to music. So they differentiate between verse of poetry and music. And then music cannot be just used in drama. It has to be converted into tala. And then tala should be adapted to dance. And then He says, Kuravai, Vari, etc. I am making use of to depict the life of the Tamil people through this dance, as if it is reflecting a huge mountain through a small mirror. That's what Ilango says at the very end. So you have the verse converted into music converted and adapted into drama, dance, and through the dance you convey the whole meaning and lifestyle of the whole people. That is the concluding part of Ilango Adigal, which shows why he wrote that dance drama. So there is no doubt that the whole text Silapadikaram is a Nadaga Kappiyam. It's not my statement. It is a 13th century commentator who says this is a Nadaga Kappiyam. Adiyar Knallar says this is a Nadaga Kappiyam. Which means that in the whole history of Indian literature, even Kalidasa and are all late. Silapadikaram is earlier to them, and this is the one earliest dance drama which depicts the life of the whole people outside the purview of this Sanskritic and Prakritic system in Tamil in a most beautiful way. So, to understand Bharata's Natya Sastra and its import and content, one has to go to Silapadikaram, which is the earliest dance drama which is available. Now we have three texts. One is Natya Sastra, the second is Tolkappiyar, the third is Silapadikaram. In Tolkappiyar, the first we have at the Porul Adhikaram, Ahathinayal and Purathinayal. In Ahathinai, we have the four kinds of division of land. The land is Kurunji, Mullai, Marudam, Neidal. Kurunji means mountain. Mullai is forest region. Marudam is a settled life. And Neidal is the coastal region. And where there is a mixing up of these lands, it is called Palai. Originally there are only four lands, and then the fifth one is where they join together. So, in that section, Tolkappiyar says, Mudal means the land and also time. And then Karu means the god. There are so many things, it's an extraordinary division, wonderful division. Karu means one is god. We have Indra, Varuna, Maya, there is Krishna, who is a cowherd, and then Muruga, Seyon, Mayon, and then Vendan, and then we have Varuna. So, already the gods of the Vedic tradition in other parts of India are part of Tamil life here. In the Ahathinai division of what you call this fourfold division. But remember, this fourfold division is not special to Bharata. To Tolkappiyar. Bharata mentions it in a very interesting manner. In the theatre, the dance hall, the dancer should symbolically divide it into four parts. This is called Kaksha Paridhi. So one region, he will show only the mountain and its connected lifestyle. In the other region, he will show the forest region. In the third region, he will show the Marudam region, that's the country life. And then the fourth one will be the coastal region. And where they join, it has to be done in the center. So it is an artificial division. And whenever he wanted to say a Korava from a country, he has to go there. and then perform the dance there. If he is dancing something about the coastal region, he has to go to the coastal area, that fourth square, and then dance that. So the space is associated with on the dance stage, and there he says these fourfold divisions, which are called Nagara, Vana, and Sagara, and Parvata. So this fourfold division, he has given a separate chapter. So the so-called division into 4 lands is derived much earlier from what you call Bharata's Natya Sastra. There's one full chapter on that. How to divide what are the trees, what are the flowers, what are the birds. All these things are also mentioned there. So he gives a beautiful division. But then it is not only Bharata, but it is found in the Veda. Asma chame, Mrittika chame, Parvatas chame, then Sikatas chame. So the fourfold division is in the Vedas. Asma, Mrittika is fertile earth, Mrittika chame, Parvatas chame, Parvata is mud, Metam. Gireyas chame, Gireyas technically are the mountains. And Sikatas are the great coastal, big sand particles. Sikatas chame. So this division is there already in the Veda, and that is adopted by Bharata for his Natya, and that is adopted by Tolkappiyar in his Ahattinai. But it can be questioned, could it not be something else? At the end of the Ahattinai, we have a very important sutra which says, Nadaga Vazhakkinum Ulagiyal Vazhakkinum. There is a sutra which says Nadaga Vazhakku and Ulagiyal Vazhakku. That is the style adopted only for drama or dance, and then for worldly actions. This is mentioned in Tolkappiyar's Agattinai at the end chapter. Nadaga Vazhakku is mentioned in Bharata's Natya Sastra as Natya Dharmi. This is the Dharmi of the dance tradition, Natya Dharmi. And the other one is called Loka Dharmi. So exactly the same thing. Loka Dharmi, Ulagiyal Vazhakku, Natya Dharmi, that is Nadaga Vazhakku. So it is evident that this chapter on Ahattinai, as I have already told you, emphasizing Sringara, is always called in ancient commentaries by the commentators as not as Aha Nanuru or Pura Nanuru. They always say Aha Paattu and Pura Paattu. Paattu means song, it's not verse. So all these Ahattinai padals and Purattinai padals were all songs which were used for dance. Let us not forget that in all these poems, the major role was played by Banas and Viralis. Bana and Virali are the dancers and musicians who used to travel from one place to another and sing and dance. So I feel that the division into Ahattinai and Purattinai are emphasizing Sringara and the other aspect as Pura. So Purananuru and Ahananuru. Then some of my friends may question me. You have long poems, 500 lines, or 300 lines, or 250 lines. So how can it be dance? How can you say that this is in Pattu Pattu, for example? You have long poems. How can you say that this is a part of that Sangam poetry? But I am going to show you that the tradition of dancing long poems reciting long poems continues to this day in drama in what you call Chakiyar Kutu in Kerala. They simply sit down, and when the dance is going on, with the help of mudra, they will give you the meaning. I am going to show you that. So it is possible to use long poems as narration, and through gestures you communicate it. That's not a big problem. So the whole of Sangam poems, I believe, having read that, into Aham and Puram are based on dance tradition. And if they have survived all these years, particularly Aham poems, which do not mention any hero or heroine's name, it is because it could be used for Sringara type of dance in the courts of the kings without telling anybody any name. And when they are singing the praises of the king, they sing the Purananuru verse and Banas. And so both the Purananuru group and the Ahananuru group, the Puram and Aham groups in Tamil literature, which our Tolkappiyar divides it into Aham and Puram. As I have already told you that he refers to Nada Vazhakku and Ulahiyal Vazhakku. It is established that this division in Tamil literature as Aham and Puram is a dance tradition. Now, then the question arises, you have Purathinai. How can you connect Purathinai with Ahathinai? Ahathinai is all right, you can say Sringara movement. Purathinai, what to do? Kindly go through the Purathinai and see the sutras and also the commentaries. The major part of whatever has been said in that Purathinai are also meant for dance. Vallai Paattu, Manmangalam. There are so many aspects which they specifically mention are meant for dance. So if you take that as Ahathinai and Purathinai are all connected with dance, then we come to Meipatiyal. What is Meipad? Meipad is Bhava. This is mentioned by all the commentators. Interestingly, I think it is Elamburanar who gives that introduction. Meipad, when the kings and chieftains are witnessing dance, Pandnai Thondriya, Pandnai means when the kings and the chieftains are enjoying dance, that time these bhavas are brought into use, and then he goes on to divide the bhavas into various, and that definition is given. What is a bhava? What is a vibhava? Is given by Bharata in his Natya Sastra. So, Bharata talks of only 8 rasas, and Tolkappiyar speaks of only 8 rasas. That shows that this is a very early text. And so 8 bhavas and 8 rasas, Sringara, Hasya, Karuna, Raudra, Veera, Bhayanakaha, Bibhatsa, Adbhuta, Santascha. Santa is not included as a rasa till 9th century AD. Before that, there were only 8 rasas, and Tolkappiyar speaks of 8 bhavas. And the whole chapter on what you call this Meipadu, that which is coming out from inside, the inner feeling, the facial feeling, etc., they all are brought under bhavas in Bharata's Natya Sastra. And if you take the chapter of Bharata's Natya Sastra original and Meipad the original Tolkappiyar, you will see the total identity. So, of course, my friends would say that this is all later interpolation. No problem, you can call it later interpolation. The only problem will be you have to throw out the whole Meipatiyal. No problem, you can throw it out. But if you take it as a contribution of Tolkappiyar, then these are all there from that. Then we have Karpiyal and Kalaviyal and Karpiyal. Now, Karpiyal, it is well known, and many scholars don't agree Karpiyal belongs to Tolkappiyar. It must be later interpolation. Because the very beginning, what is Karp? Karpanapaduvathu yadenil. This is the first sutra. Karanamod punara கொலர்குறி மரபில் கிழவன் கிழத்தியை கொடுத்தற்குரிய மரபிலும் ஒரு கொடுக்க கொள்வதுவே என்ன ஒரு சூத்திரம் இருக்கு. This is an excellent example of how Tolkappiyam is not only for again literature and only for dance and music, but it is for even for judicial purposes. Now, there are 3 points. Karanam is most of the commentators have called it as a, what you call sadang, going around the fire and all. It doesn't mean sadang at all there. It means something else. Karana means an instrument of legal action. That is, a written document authorizing the bride and bridegroom, given by the proper person and accepted by the proper person, they can live together. So here we have a big problem in modern times. Somebody said, a man and a woman, if they stay together, they become husband and wife. It's not possible. It is absolutely not possible, because one who marries should be duly qualified. An insane fellow, a criminal, he can live with a woman. He cannot be a husband and wife. He can't recognize, the society cannot recognize him and give him all that status. So, Kolarkuru Marabin Kijavan means the bridegroom. Kirati means a heroine there. Now we have a registration process. You go to the registrar office and then you sign. And then what happens? They become husband and wife. That was not the ancient tradition. That the entire village community should be present, village elders should be present. They are the witness that they have married. They have agreed to marry. And what they say is, we will live together till the very end of their life. We will take care of our children and take up the responsibility of bringing them up and so on. That is the actual thing that they say in mantra, because we don't know what is the mantra. And that mantra says that I will stay with you throughout my life, taking care of you and so on. So, that is what is decided and defined as Karanamondu Punara. You can stay only with a written document approved by all these village elders. So it goes beyond all your linguistic thing, This is, you can understand that till very recent time we have in every village there was a Karanatan. Karnam. He was the man who used to draft it in the proper way. So, Karanatan, Karanam, and in it speaks of 8 types of marriages. So, that's another problem. Tolkappiyam. Then the Kalaviyal also, there is a sutra like this, which says that Poyyum Kalavum தோன்றிய பின்னர் ஐயர் யாத்தனர் கரணம் என்ப. This registration was introduced by Ayyar. You can define him by any means. When they found in the society the man taking advantage of poi and kalavu, tell lie and run away, leaving the child, leaving the women and so on, they brought in registration of marriages. That is there in what you call Tolkappiyam. And so there also it is Karanam, means an instrument of legal action. You may ask, where was the registration in Hindu society? You have in Hindu society the marriage Vidaya, and before that Nichyadartham. Both are all written documents giving the grandfather, father and children's name, and so that is also there in Tolkappiyam defined, so it goes beyond. Now then you have Upamayal, Marabiyal. Marabiyal is an extraordinary social life, how you behave in the society. That is there given in what you call Tolkappiyam. But you see it in Bharata. There is a very interesting chapter. Unfortunately, the time is running short. There is a very difficult situation in Silappatikaram. Madhavi, the dancer, was a good girl. She is called Adal Mahalir, but she didn't pursue the life of a prostitute. She always lived with Kovalan. But when they parted, Kovalan went away in a fit of anger, and that was the last separation. And Madhavi sends a girl asking Kovalan to come back. It's a beautiful, human emotion. You must read Silappatikaram. It's a wonderful poem. And there, the Ilango introduces 6 or 7 situations which are all mentioned in Bharata's Natya Sastra, adapted by dancing girls to attract the person when he gets angry. That stage is completely described, and Katshikolvari. These are all dances, Katshikolvari and so on, 8 different systems. They are found in Bharata's Natya Sastra. He uses the same, and finally he says, after all, you are an Adal Mahalir. You know how to act. You have been acting. That was a very harsh word that Kovalan uses to Madhavi. So, but that is there. That these are the actual things of dancing girls, he says. So you have Tolkappiyam beginning the Parul, then you have Ayathinai, Purathinai, Karpiyal, Kalaviyal, then Uma, and so on, so on. Then I will say only the last word, then I will go on to that slides. Solladhigaram. In Solladhigaram, there is a sutra, Vadasor Kilavi, Vadayeluthu Ori, Eluthodu Punaranda Sollagume. This is a sutra. That is, when northern words are used, you remove that and avoid that, and you use but the actual meaning is given by Ilamburanar, who gives a very important information that Vada Sol is to be used in drama. You have 4 sols which are mentioned again in Solladhigaram. One is called Yerchol, Tirisol, Tisaichol, and Vadasol. So all the 4 sols, that is, all the 4 languages could be used. If necessary, even more you can use it. So they don't want you to remove the Vadasol. What is mentioned there is, in Brahmi characters, what we call Brahmi characters, very early script, when Tolkappiyam was composed, there was only one script both for the northern character and the southern character. In that, is okay. Ka, kha, ga, gha, and nga. Cha, cha, ja, ja. Varga letters, what we call varga letters. The second, third, and fourth letter in each varga, kavarga, chavarga, tavarga, tavarga, and pavarga. Each varga, 3 words. These are peculiar to only Aryam. It says it is only peculiar to Sanskrit and Prakrit. But the first letter, ka, cha, ta, ta, pa, are the same for both northern character and southern character. So what he says is, you remove the, say, ganam means you write as kanam. Not that you remove the whole word. Bhavam means you write as pavam, like that. So they do not want that this vadasal should be removed completely. Vada எழுத்து, these only 3 vargas should be removed and use the first letter. And that is what our Ilam Puranar says, which is very important, because you can't study Tolkappiyam from the modern times. You have to see the எழுத்து part, how it was when it was composed. So it's a beautiful work. So Swaradhikaram also uses this Vadaswar and use of these characters. Now, sir, I have told you enough. I can tell you the whole of 108 dance karanas have the same nomenclature in Silapadikaram. Hastas are all the same number, and what you call the number is the same. Then the movement of the siras, the movement of the leg, pada, all these, which are all technical words, they are all same as you find in Bharata's Natya Sastra. And the last I want to mention is that in Silapadikaram, the first dance, public dance, was done by Madhavi in Indravila. Indravila, Oor Edutha Kadai, and then it is also followed in other Kadaladu Kadai and Kanalvari. Bharata's Natya Sastra says that the first dance was performed in Indradvaja Maha, Indravila. So the first dance, according to Bharata's Natya Sastra, is also Indravila. So there are so many coincidences, not one or two. We can go on in the instrumental music, in vocal music, in what you call percussion instruments, mridanga and so on, bhandavadya and so on. All these matras are introduced. There is a word called pindi. Pindi is not a Tamil word. Pindi bandha is one of the words used by Bharata, which is when the two hands are shown like this, joined together. Pindi is a asamyuta hasta, and pindi bandha is a samyuta hasta. Then we have Todil Kai and Yeir Kai. That is also called in Bharata's Natya Sastra as karma, nritta karma, hasta, karma hasta, and nritta hasta. So, all the technical terms for music, dance, poetry, and bhavas, aesthetics that you are going to derive from looking at this performance, these fall back on what you call Natya Sastra, and brilliantly presented by Silapadikaram, Ilango Adigal. And so unless you understand Ilango Adigal, how Bharata's Natya Sastra has been put to complete use, and unless you understand Bharata's Natya Sastra, many of the technical terms cannot be understood. Vilakkurupu, Yoni, Jati, Vritti, Riti. There are so many technical words which are all common to both. And so we are convinced that as mentioned at the beginning, Natya Sastra has to go beyond all the language barriers, caste barriers, and class barriers. And that is how it was able to travel to whole of Southeast Asia. And it is the same. Everywhere it is the same. So, this is what I wanted to tell you about the connection between Tolkappiyam and Natya Sastra. And since some of my friends here are deeply interested in Silpa Sastra, unless one understands Natya Sastra, it is not possible to appreciate fully the beauty of the sculptures. We have hundreds and hundreds of sculptures, but we don't look at them. I'll show you some. Come. See, the first one is the Tandava. In the light half and go. Shiva taught, as I told you, in the light alone. This can be put off. This Urdha Tandava, this is 8th century sculpture from Kanchipuram, where Shiva has lifted up his leg, which we call Tandava, Urdha Tandava, and by the side to the left you see Nandikeshwara dancing. So the Tandava is transferred to Nandikeshwara, where he is dancing with a swastika leg, and there you are. And Brahma and Vishnu are the witness. Next one, please. Now, this is next. This is just to tell you what. So I have told you, I have based my conclusions on these three texts. And now here is a sculpture in the same Kailasnatha temple. You have what is called, can you put out these lights also, please? I don't mind. It's not very good. Yes, you can see that now. You can see that. Look at that leg, which is called Alida and Pratyalida. This is Kiratarjuna fighting, and look at the legs of Shiva on the right and Arjuna on the left, how beautifully it is. But unless we understand what is Alida and what is Pratyalida, we cannot interpret this. So, next one, please. So, wait a minute. Okay, go on. Here you have. This is what we call the Natya Dharmi. It's just the standing pose. It's not an ordinary pose. That is the Laukika pose. What you see, this is what you call Nadaga Vashakku. Nadagam and Natyam are all the same. Next one, please. Now, this is the Ulagiyal Vashakku, Loka Dharmi. Look at that Shishya seated before the teacher with his hand. This is the Loka Dharmi. It's not a Natya pose, but it's just a worldly pose. Next one. Now see, this is the thing, fourfold classifications: Vanam, Mullai, Nagaram, Marudam, Parvadam, and Kurinji, and Sagaram is Neidal. Next one. Maya, Subramanya, Indra, Varuna. The same words: Maya, Cheyon, and Vendan and Varunan. Next one. Now this we have seen. Now here you have the sequence of the acharyas given in both Natya Sastra and also in Silapadikaram. See, Natya Acharya, Gita, one who sings, and then Gayika, and then Veena, Tantri Vadya, Vangyam, and Mridangam. And there you have Iyal Asriyam, Adal Asriyan, Isai Asriyan, Thoriya Madandai, who is experienced, Thoriya Madandai, who sings, Yag Asriyan, Kuyalon, and Tannumai is Mridangam. It's exactly the same, parallel. The same sequence also is maintained both in Natya Sastra and also in Silapadikaram. Next one, please. So we have Tandavam Lasyam, Avidyam Sukumaram, and Shanti and Vinodam in Sanskrit. Aryam Tamil, Purakutu Ahakutu, then Nrittam and Ahamargam, Shanti and Vinodam, Vettiyal and Poduviyal. Some of the Purananuru verses, the commentators say this is a Poduviyal. Next one, please. So these are the words, you see, Karanam, Pani, Pindi, Matra, Ganam, Gandharvi, Vattanai, Chatura. Same words in Tamil used. Next. And see what are the subjects that are dealt with in both Natya Sastra and Silambu. Nibandha, Rasa, Bhava, Abhinaya, Dharmi, Vritti, Jati, Swaraha, Atodyam, Ganam, Prakriti and Mandapa. There you have the same thing, slightly variant. Rasa is called Suvai and Bhava is called Meipadu and so on. Jati and Vrittam and all. Swaram is called Suram in Tamil. Next one, please. Then we have Dharma, Artha, Kama and Moksha mentioned. That's also Aram, Porul, Inbam, Vudu. Next one, please. Well, this is Hasta, Nutta Hasta. Same name. They use it even today. Next. Pataka Hasta and so on. Next one. Now here is the Chakyar Kudiyatam dancer who sits down and expounds the whole recitation in terms of mudras, even now. Next. Now this is just to show you Neidal, Kadal. Kadal Vida is to Varunan and Bhava. Look at the Bhava. So this has a special chapter in Bharata's Natya Sastra and also in Tolkappiyar, also in Silapadikaram. Extraordinary bhava. And you have the hand gestures. I suppose you understand who it is. Next one, please. Look at this sculpture. This is 8th century sculpture. You will see that in the earlier period, the sculptors were completely aware and they could appreciate dance. But now, no one knows dance. The sculptor does not have seen even a single dance. So he cannot put the bhava, he cannot put the movement. But look at this 8th century. Pallava, face. That's bhava. Next. Here is another extraordinary sculpture. Shiva as Bhikshatana moving and the ladies. Just the movement of the line, this is all discussed in detail in Swal Adhikaram and Sayul Adhikaram and so on. How mellifluous the sound should come, how line should come and so on. So an understanding of dance movement is necessary, and I would strongly advocate that all those who would like to interpret these sculptural representations to go frequently to dance and understand what is the best. Next one, please. See that movement. It's not the movement of only one body, leg or hand, including the neck and the face. Next. Here it is. So it is the whole body, whole movement of the body that is depicted. Next one, please. And this is a masterpiece, Chola piece. Next. Veena. Veena played a very important role in ancient period, Tantri Vadya, and we have also in Tamil tradition, Yal. And you see that in sculpture. Next. Now here we have the dance. And you see, all classical dances in India are derived from Bharata's Natya Sastra. And though through the centuries they have undergone variations in different regions. Next one. Look at the way in which he uses the eye, the face, facial expression, and also the varna and the aharya. Next. Aharya is the makeup. Look at that. And the hand. When they just show a stiff hand is not a poetry. You see, dance is called poetry. It's called drishya kavya. So it must be suggestive. It cannot be stiff. It cannot be a statement. It should be a poetry. And look at his hand. How beautiful it is. Next. And these eyes have to be trained for more than 5 to 6 years in Kerala to bring out the inner feeling. And that they do it. Unfortunately, no other part of India they give so much exercise to the eye and also the chin. It's only the Kerala people who do that. Next. That's it. Next. Everywhere you turn, there is beauty. And so every rasa you can feel, not just you simply show it on the stage, but it needs to be depicted. Next. See. Attractive. That is the aesthetics of Natya Sastra, which is still maintained in Kerala. Next. And next. That is called Bhanda Vadya. Bhanda. Next one. Thank you very much, friends. Put on the light, please. I am thankful to you. I think we understand much better when we understand the Natya Sastra and also the Tamil tradition. And all these depictions are all still living. And it is a tribute to the science of Natya Sastra and the others who have brought it down to this day. But it is necessary that lay people also should take interest in the study of Natya Sastra and don't think it is only for these young girls to do it, but it has so much to tell us, so much to understand about the life and culture of the people. Thank you very much, sir, for giving me this opportunity. I am not a dancer and I don't know so much about but iruvai kuttin ilakkanam arindu and then vilakku, you know, vilakku means it gives a complete detail. You see what all the things, all of them are given in Natya Sastra. And I am coming to that. There is a text. Mani Mekalai. You know, Mani Mekalai is a contemporary with Silappadigaram. And both of them were written at the same time, at least according to that. There is a reference to one who performs dance according to the treatise, which is mentioned as Bharadam. So that gives point 1. Point 2, commentator has already said it is there in Tamil. In Agatyam and Bharatam were already in Tamil and earlier. And Bharatam can be, what text could be? 2. Go through all the dance she has performed. Madhavi has performed. You list them out and see where it is found. These 3 points are sufficient to tell me that what she says as Natya Nannul is nothing but Bharata's Natya Sastra. Now let us take Silapadikaram here and Rajaraja here. This is 1st century, 2nd century, 1st century, and the 2nd century beginning. This is 10th century. You have a definition of Nritta Karana. What is Nritta Karana? Hasta pada samayogaha nrittasya karanam bhavet. This is the definition. Hasta and pada. By hasta it meant that whole part of the body beneath the waist and above the waist. Hasta means above the waist and pada means below the waist. Now we have Upper Swamigal who lived in 6th century AD. Kazhalodu Thiru Viralal Karanam Seidu Than Adume. Look at this. What is it? Kazhal, leg. Viral, hand. No, I am saying that between 2nd century and 11th century, in between you see the same continuation.
But you're saying the
Karana.
Natya Sastra would have been lost because he says it's lost.
Yes, when they say lost, it means not totally lost. For example, Agatyam they say is lost. But there are loose verses which are cited by the commentators, which means a part of it was still available. Bharatam obviously is a translation of Bharata's Natya Sastra. Even if the Tamil portion is lost and this Yalango Adigal could not use the Tamil portion, for him the whole Sanskrit portion was available. And it has come down and come down to this day. So it's I hope it's not lost once and for all. There are a few passages which may be later additions, we don't know. But which is later and which is earlier, you and I can't say that. That is the problem. So it was there, it continued, and what is told that it was not available is with reference to Tamil Bharatam and Agatyam, not Bharata Natya. Thank you. Any other questions, please?
I have no question.
Yes, sir, I want. May Avai Natarajan is the person who should ask me the questions.
I don't know anything. The synergic effect of the both the northern and southern part of expositions and the dramatic treatises which are not fully found, as Swarnamalya was asking. And actually there is a loss of period. You see, Silapadikaram belongs to the 2nd century if it goes right, and for Adiyarkadallar he may come only by the 10th century. Remember, 800 years passed away, and it is very difficult to trace out the whole treatise in such a way, and it is only the effort of the great genius or the skill of Dr. Nagaswamy has to trace it and how these could be connected. And it is really revealing to see how the certain terms and expressions are beautifully translated, and in certain places the very terms themselves are placed with the same connotations. And it is really a wonderful evening, and we are ever grateful to Dr. Nagaswamy. As I was just entering in, somebody was telling the greatest scholar, a living legendary in the archaeology, is Dr. Nagaswamy. Thank you.
The first thing the Silapadikaram starts is with Cheran Senguttuvan. The first sentence, Mangala Varthi. Mangala Varthi. The last one is Mangala Varthi. Beginning is Mangala Varthi, the last is Mangala Varthi. The beginning is Charan Sanguttuvan, the end is Sanguttuvan Vargana. So the ending is also Sanguttuvan. So what I feel is we have a Sanskrit tradition in which these dance dramas, they mention at the beginning in whose court this has been performed, in whose court this has been written. And also at the end, I will give you a very good example of Mahendra Varman's Mattavilasa Prahasana, which is a Sanskrit text. At the beginning, he mentions Avani Bhajana. It is one of his titles, the beginning. So this was to be enacted there. And then at the end also, the Mangala end, also his title is given. So as Sanguttuvan appears at the beginning and also at the end, I think Silapadikaram was deliberately composed to glorify Sanguttuvan's achievement, and these were there in his core. Otherwise, he has no role at all in that whole play. She burns Madurai and she becomes a Patini Devam. Over. The story is over. But then you have to bring in Kurinji, you have to bring in Koravas, you have to bring Vendri Kutu, then you have to bring Kachi, Kalvol, Nirpadai, Nadadal, Perumbayar, Vayatal. All these which are there in Tolkappiyam has to be given a present. Each one is given a chapter. And it is all Sanguttuvan's greatness, Vetri, Vendri, and finally after building this temple and also arranging for the festival, he goes to the Yagasala. So, there was a tradition that when you build a temple and consecrate and arrange for its worship and festival, they used to compose a dance drama on the construction of the temple and enact it in the festival. This is mentioned in Jivaka Chintamani, where Jivakan's friend, who lost his life, a temple was erected to him, and his whole story was composed by Jivaka, and it was enacted, and the dancers were given places around the temple to enact in the festival. Rajarajeswara Vijayam, I am coming to the next. So that tradition continues, and it is possible. And he was looking at that, Charan Sanguttuvan was also looking at this Chakyar dance, Ardhanareswara, like that. So the main idea seems to be to use these devices in the Natya Sastra, in Tolkappiyam, etc., and bring out outstanding poem to glorify Sanguttuvan. If you have a doubt, you see there is a temple built near Kumbakonam called Dharasuram. The Dharasuram was built by second Rajaraja Chola. And that whole Rajaraja second is not the first, second Rajaraja. His story is given, his conquests are given in that poem called Takkayaga Parani. In the Takkayaga Parani, at the beginning, the second Rajaraja will be glorified, and at the end, Raja Rajeshwaram Sameta Periya Perumalai Vaithinave. That is the last verse. So, beginning and end speaks about the temple. And what is more, the god Shiva, who is the hero of that poem, who is the presiding deity of Dharasuram. That is given by Ottakutan. So, we have a tradition of these contemporary dance dramas composed when the temples are erected and they were danced, or to glorify any conquest like Charan Sanguttuvan, in which case I feel that it should be more or less contemporary with Charan Sanguttuvan, and that means it is contemporary with the Sangam literature.